Beautiful. Welcome to the Divine Feminine Venusian Temple Priestess Mysteries. I am so excited that you are here. Let's dive into some juicy content today. But first, I wanted to share my story why the Divine Feminine Venus on plant medicine. About 12 years ago now, I had a whole direct contact with my Venusian goddess energy, and I had no idea at the time what was going on, but I kept on channeling divine vine, bloodline, veins, Venus vines, and I saw all these like grapevines that were connecting back to the ancient wisdom, which was this body of love, or this goddess of love, and this celestial body of the planet Venus. And I felt like a changed woman after that experience. I also went through a very dark night of the soul after that. It went from like super light to super dark. But after doing some research, academic, shamanic, on many different levels, I have found that there is a huge missing piece here that I feel it's important to come out with. As the Divine Feminine is rising, as people are coming back to the ancient mysteries, bridging spirit with intellect, and we are coming into a whole new Aquarian, Piscean age, all of it. We are here to not just be asleep anymore, and the Venus goddess energies are very important in this puzzle. All right, so I'm going to open up the slides. Okay, so the Venus Temple Mysteries. The Divine Feminine energy resides in all life, but I'm going to go over the 11 signs that you are a Venusian priestess. So you might call it a Venusian starseed. You might just say you resonate with Venusian energy, but I'm going to go into what this is. So the first sign that you are a Venusian priestess, by the way, who am I? I'm Dr. Noelle. I'm the founder of Aphrodite University, which I didn't even put together. It's the same planet. So the Venusian Mysteries, what are these? Here are the signs. The Venusian Mysteries, also known as or connected to the rose lineage, rose line. The rose line is actually when all of our chakras are balanced and we're back in our divine DNA state. So all of our chakras are symbolized as either lotuses, spinning wheels, or roses were the ancient symbol in many of the mystery schools that went underground. Now, the Venusians were a group of souls who followed a set of spiritual practices and agreements and that were centered around loves. And then I'm going to insert here that there's kind of two levels. One is the quantum level, Venusian, the spiritual energy, the energy that we're all connected through astrology, whether you're a Libra, if you have a lot of Venus in your chart, or if you are just connecting to the field, the frequency of Venus. So we're talking 5D. But I would also say, from my memory, from my knowing, from many of the different biblical ancient text scrolls, that some of us do literally come from the bloodline of Venus, that Venusians were very similar to us physically, and that the planet Venus once was very similar to how Earth is now. And in fact, that all of the things in our zodiac wheel sort of morph into the next cycle. So maybe Earth once was like another planet, and now it's Earth, and then eventually it might be more like Mars, and then eventually, I don't know exactly the cycle, but if there's an order clock or if it's kind of random. But that's how I see it. I see that everything is oneness. Everything is the God particle, and at certain times, or not at all times, we have the archetype of Venus in us, accessible to us. So even though right now Venus might be so-called doesn't have life on it right now, I actually believe it does, and have watched different people saying that they come from Venus or they've been to Venus and sharing experiences, which is really fascinating. I'm not quite out there yet. I'm not quite that far out there. I just have experienced it on shamanic journeys. But if you're resonating with Venus energy and you want to activate your divine feminine energy, to drop you deeper into these codes. So what are they? So the Venusian mysteries are going to always connect us to love, the goddess of love, the divine feminine, and to the planet Venus. If you feel a resonance, a connection to the goddess of love, maybe randomly when you're traveling in Italy, you picked up a Botticelli Venus, or a Venus de Milo somewhere, and you've been like carrying it with you since you were 19 years old, like I have, then let's see, where's mine? We just moved into our new house. Anyways, it's like, oh, you might not even know consciously, but you are connected to the goddess Venus, the goddess of love, and you may have had these Venusian mysteries in your past life record and have a spiritual connection with them today. So there might just be a resonance. Maybe you're really into the symbol of the rose, or you connected to these different aspects of Venus: Mary Magdalene, Ashtar, Isis, Inanna, Columbia, Xochiquetzal. There's so many different ones. Durantia, Venus, Quodita, Lakshmi, Kuan Yin. Oh my gosh, that just keeps going. But a goddess of love, if you're like the person that is carrying around like goddess symbols, or you come from a lineage of women that are just naturally goddessy, then you might have a little Venus in your V line. You might come from a long lineage of powerful badges. Venusian mysteries, symbolism, practices, and energy have come down to us through these ancient memories that have been, in a lot of ways, wiped out or diluted, but you can feel it. It may come to you. You might remember. You are remembering now. All right, so what are the Venusian mysteries? Who is the goddess Venus? So she is represented by the Statue of Liberty. The Lady Liberty is the ancient Babylonian goddess of love and fertility. Ishtar is known as the mother of harlots. She is the quantum Mary Magdalene, or she's a, sorry, not, I don't know why I say quantum, but I wanted to say like quantum Kuan Yin gone, harlot gone. All these different energies are all the same. All the different faces of the goddess hold similar energies at the core. They are goddesses. They are mother goddesses. And at different times, they've been expressed in different ways. But Lady Liberty is the symbol of Isis / Ishtar / goddess Columbia. And Ishtar was known as the mother of harlots because prostitution was part of her religious practice. And also, the Statue of Liberty was set up with an ancient Egyptian ritual that was done by the Freemasons. The Venusian mysteries were practiced in Lemuria, Atlantis, and later in ancient Egypt, Rome, Greece, and pretty much everywhere. Everywhere today, there's still some practice of her in different temples, churches, around the world. She's still embedded in there. And if you look closely, you will realize that a lot of the religious figures today are actually coming in from the ancient mystery schools of Venus. The Essene mystery schools were coming in from Venusian mystery schools. Now, originally they were focused on the divine feminine, as Venus symbolized the embodiment of love, beauty, sexuality, motherhood, and fertility. And Venus and her counterpart, the feminine and masculine, her various counterparts were considered equal. So the feminine and masculine back in the mystery school temples were revered. And if not, the divine feminine was a little bit higher because of her ability to conceive life, because of her fertility abilities. And while the masculine is important to express and work and create systems and structures on the outside, she's really doing it deeply on the inside. And there was a worship and appreciation for this, and sexuality was considered not a sin, but sacred. And even in some cultures, sacred prostitution or sacred sexual healing was considered a temple priestess role for the high level female mistresses. Now, it doesn't really land today. Things are so different, but we have to have an open mind. Things are very different, and they may continue to become very different in the future. So we want to keep an open mind. The Venusian mysteries are often associated with the cults of Aphrodite, Venus, that goddess, and were typically led by high priestesses, a circle of powerful females who would embody the goddess and who were taught into these mysteries and trained over time and had to go through sets of initiations. They were known for secret rituals and for being exclusive only for initiated members. Many of the rituals and practices associated with the Venusian mysteries were shrouded in secrecy, as they still are today, and not much is known about them today in the public eye unless you're tapping into it via your higher self, you're part of an elite organization, or you are open to shamanic journeying, plant medicine, past life journeying spiritually to Venus, or maybe you are part of a secret sacred bloodline that is remembering who it is. We are all sacred. We are all part of the divine bloodline. Now, are you a Venusian starseed? Do you have DNA that comes from Venus? Do you have cellular or even just cellular memories that come from the planet and divine being Venus, the goddess of love? So Venus, the planet, is also a spirit, just like Gaia. Our Earth has a soul and spirit and body. So Venus is the same, and you may have had past lives or future lives on Venus, and you might be dialed in there. So it's possible that the Venusian mysteries are linked to a sort of starseed group associated with the planet Venus, and they're called the Venusians. Who are the Venusians, and are you a Venusian? Venusians are believed to be a highly evolved race of extraterrestrial beings originating from this planet, Venus. They're believed to have visited Earth, and some psychic and starseeds claim to have contact or communication with them. So some of the stories out there are that the Venusians actually seeded life on Earth, and are that they were in their fabulous planetary high, and then things went a little bit dark. They had to shut down for some reason, and then they ended up seeding Earth, and that the gates to Venus, that we're still trying to go back and access this sort of heavenly, celestial, beautiful, divine feminine place. The stories about Venus are often that there's no war there, it's very loving, but that they don't necessarily want us to know that there are beings there, that we could be there, because we as earthlings are not ready for that. I don't know. What do you believe? Pretty interesting stuff. Goddess energy. They're said to possess spiritual knowledge from the goddess and understand beyond what we can comprehend here on Earth. They're said to be peaceful, loving, divine feminine balanced beings who want to help us evolve spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. Does that sound like you? Maybe you are one of them. Practitioners of the Venusian mysteries believe that by connecting with Venus from Earth, they could access the power of love, beauty, and the feminine principle. So whether you call Venus your home or not is irrelevant. If you have a resonance with the energy, if you find it to be beautiful, if you sometimes feel lost on Earth and you feel that pain that you want to go home, be here now, but also tune into this love, this beauty, this feminine principle that you might have been born with, that you are ready to connect to on a deeper level, and calling it in from afar and bringing it here. You can be here now even more. They believe that by connecting with Venus, they could improve their relationships. Back in the day in the ancient Venusian mystery schools, they could increase their beauty, attractiveness, and achieve greater success in their lives. So if you want to use a little magic spell, bliss, then do some magic work with Venus. Try it out. Have you ever done a ritual? We're doing a new moon rock cacao. Sorry, not a rock cacao. We're doing a new moon holy money activation ritual on this coming new moon, and also the equinox on the 21st of this month, March 21st, 2023. Here in Bali, it's at 8:30 in the morning, or if you're in the US, it's at 5:30 p.m. Pacific on the 20th.